Criminals in suits pretending to be public servants are laughing at you. They hand some slaves a costume and guns for the privilege of being their dogs that murder, terrorize, cage, humiliate, extort, and traumatize as a means to plunder the other slaves to harvest. Okay, so this one is about the entire structure that we live under, that we call government, that was never meant to be a government. It was meant to be a system of service. That's not the same as government. And so this is why we have such a thing as a police force, a military, that forcibly violate and dominate and control the population, because that's the only way you can rule over people, because people are not born to be good slaves. So it has to happen by force and deception. So if you're one of those people who still believe there's such a thing as a good cop, this is really critical to understand that cannot be possible. As soon as someone is granted more power than the individual has inherently, as soon as you do that, that's a power imbalance, and from that point onwards, there is always going to be some kind of violation, some kind of degradation. It's just a natural recourse when you violate the laws of nature. The laws of nature are such that we are all equal under the law. And that's what a true system of service was meant to be, a recognition of that. And therefore, anyone who's given any kind of, let's call it power, to make decisions for other people must be accountable in their private and unlimited capacity as an individual with no more rights than anyone else. If you can understand that, then you can move on and understand why there's no such thing as a good cop. They're not meant to be cops, they're meant to be constables, which are peacekeepers. These people are not here to keep the peace. They are here to shake you down, to violate you, to harm you, to terrorize you into submission. And that's what we're going to take a look at. And we're also going to take a look at the psychopathy of people who call themselves adults, which are rampant through our society, which is basically pretty much the entire population, really, who actually still lacking the understanding of basic moral principle. So Mark's about to go and explain that.
Wonder why these people who are seemingly adults can't see these manipulations. They can't see that this system is an abuse-based system and a slavery-based system. And that is the real answer to that question is because they are not actual adults. People can go into physical adulthood in age and never have psychologically and spiritually matured during the course of those years that they became physical adults. And that's the problem, is that we're not, our parents are not teaching the children how to really truly become educated adults, how to truly become psychologically mature, how to truly become spiritually mature. They're leaving all of those things to the state, and the state is not going to do those things. The state is going to indoctrinate and inculcate people into their sick, demented, satanic religion of order following, obedience, and ultimately slavery, because that's their long-term agenda in all governments all over the world.
I've always defended and been a very strong supporter of, Carl, is people's right to protest.
The privileges your masters choose to indulge you at their mercy are the same privileges your masters will take away on a whim.
Protests don't work. Protests are not smart. They're not lawful.
So the last 4 years has been a real big wake-up call for people to activate and understand how something so horrendous could happen on such a mass scale. And sadly, the overwhelming majority are failing to see it and get it. And so this is an attempt to try and show people, if you're still willing to see how that's the case, that you have collaborated with your own misery and suffering this whole time. And the last 4 years is just them showing you in your face how willing you are to keep making sure it happens, because nothing significant has changed. And so we're still getting treated exactly the same. And so this is about really starting to care enough to understand it so you can see past the delusion, if you're willing to, and then do something about it.
Poor, wretched, and stupid peoples, nations determined on your own misfortune and blind to your own good. You let yourselves be deprived before your own eyes of the best part of your revenues, your fields are plundered, your homes robbed, your family heirlooms taken away. You live in such a way that you cannot claim a single thing as your own, and it would seem that you consider yourselves lucky to be loaned your property, your families, and your very lives.
who are part of the order following system, they don't even understand that they're being mocked by the people in control of them, by the people giving them their marching orders, by the real masters of their reality, who are giving them all of these orders to carry out and get their own hands bloody, get their own hands dirty. But
all this havoc, this misfortune, this ruin, descends upon you not from alien foes, but from the one enemy whom you yourselves render as powerful as he is, for whom you go bravely to war, for whose greatness you do not refuse to offer your own bodies unto death. He who thus domineers over you has only 2 eyes, only 2 hands, only 1 body, no more than is possessed by the least man among the infinite numbers dwelling in your cities. He has indeed nothing more than the power that you confer upon him to destroy you.
The real elitists who are really giving them their orders would never bloody their hands in this way. They would consider those tasks above them, and for a puppet to carry out, for what they call those people themselves. And I heard this from their mouth to my ears directly in the room with them. They actually refer to these order followers as their dogs. That is their actual word that they call them privately. When they're behind closed doors, privately, alone together, these sick, satanic, lunatics, these psychopaths who are really giving these people their marching orders in the police and military, refer to those order followers in those institutions as their dogs. And it's not, again, street lingo like, yo, my dog, we're going to hang out later. It's, you're my animal. You are my pet, and you will obey my commands when I give them instantaneously. You'll sit when I say sit. You'll drink out of your bowl when I say drink out of it. And if I send you to go and attack somebody and even die to protect me, you'll do that too.
We don't want to be here. We want to be one country. One country. Here we go. One country.
Oh my fucking God, he's got a gun. He's got a gun.
And that is exactly how they view these people. And I've said many times on my broadcasts, I wish I could disagree with the Satanists' assessment of these people as lower animals that just immediately obey their marching orders that they're given by their masters, and not see them as dogs that are following orders, that are just responding to commands. But I'd have to say that is exactly the role that they fulfill in life. And they're the people who are really bringing the slavery deeper and deeper upon humanity.
Where has he acquired enough eyes to spy upon you, if you do not provide them yourselves? How can he have so many arms to beat you with, if he does not borrow them from you? The feet that trample down your cities, where does he get them if they are not your own? How does he have any power over you except through you? How would he dare assail you if he had no cooperation from you? What could he do to you if you yourselves did not connive with the thief who plunders you, if you were not accomplices of the murderer who kills you, if you were not traitors to yourselves?
And unless we reach those order followers and get them to realize that following orders and obedience are not virtues, they are satanic pathways to the destruction of the human spirit and ultimately the destruction of human freedom, we're not going to get out of this mess, unfortunately.
You sow your crops in order that he may ravage them. You install and furnish your homes to give him goods to pillage. You rear your daughters that he may gratify his lust. You bring up your children in order that he may confer upon them the greatest privilege he knows, to be led into his battles, to be delivered to butchery, to be made the servants of his greed and the instruments of his vengeance. You yield your bodies unto hard labor in order that he may indulge in his delights and wallow in his filthy pleasures. You weaken yourselves in order to make him the stronger and the mightier to hold you in check.
You have to reach them in the long term and get them to change their minds about what they believe, what they are willing to do, and the organizations that they're willing to be a part of. If we don't do that, there's going to be a very dark future for humanity.
So the moral of the story is, folks, that knowledge without action is the same as having no knowledge. So you have all 3 aspects that you need to activate to come online and be alive. That is your thoughts, emotions, and actions. And if you're going to be alive, you're required to act whether you like it or not. So it's your choice what you choose to do from here on in. If you are going to come online, then there is one way to act that makes sure that all of these people who have committed these crimes, these order followers, will be accountable in their individual private capacity. So stick around and you'll find out how. Okay, so if you're looking to find some kind of guidance about moral principle, and that there is actually a structure in place that was built on moral principle, where the system of governance, which just means system of public servants and administration of how services will be delivered to the people equitably in order to advance the quality of all lives equally. This site has got plenty on it. I'm just going to quickly, I'm not going to go too much into it because I've done plenty of other videos about that. But here we go, it's already standing on principle, you can see that. Unifying our community. It talks about the 1901 Australia Crime Punishment Manifesto, which is the 1901 Commonwealth of Australia Constitution, so it talks about why that's a fraud and how that's just more enslavement. And then you've got participate in our police letter campaign. If you want to do that, you can click on that, take you right there, subscribe to the mailing list. As you go back up here, you can see all the different places you can look into. And so anyway, that's for you to discover in your own time, but just giving you a resource, it's magnacarta1215.com. There you go.